Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. Let's answer some of your questions. So first question from Hayden, any idea on how to reduce the play in the steering? Absolutely. So there are a couple different components that wear in the steering system of a Mini. Starting from the outboard end, I would look at the outer tie rods. These are what connects to the steering arms from the steering rack. They'll wear kind of most often. After that, you have the steering rack itself. Now there is an inner tie rod, however it's not replaceable. You replace the entire steering rack. So if you notice that that is moving, then you'll unfortunately have to replace the steering rack, which means dropping the subframe to slide it out. After that, there is the splines on the steering rack where the steering column connects to it. Now there's a little pinch bolt there. Make sure that's tight, make sure that those splines aren't moving. You can wiggle the steering wheel a little bit and watch the steering column move on the rack. And if that is that has any play, then obviously you're gonna have some loose steering. Speaking of the steering column, there are two bushings, plastic bushings that are inside the steering column. If you can wiggle the steering wheel up and down or left to right, you'll be able to see it kind of move within the column housing. They're really easy to replace, and quite often I'll see that those are worn because they're just an item that don't really get serviced. And then after that, pretty much just the steering wheel, the big nut on the end of the steering wheel. Make sure that's tight. After all that stuff is tight, you should have really tight steering. Minis have awesome steering, so if there's any play, there's definitely something wrong. Oh, one more thing, if you do have some play in your steering wheel and all that stuff is taken care of, it could be because you have one of those cheapy drop brackets. Now we make our own drop bracket that doesn't do this, but if you have one of the cheapy ones that's just kind of two little tabs of metal that come down, if you wiggle the steering wheel side to side, you'll actually see the steering column flex like that. If you have a high-end steering drop bracket like the one that we make, you won't have any play in there. So that's something else to take into consideration. What's that? Asking them to subscribe? Have you subscribed yet? Okay, next question. Okay, so I have a question here, fellow VTEC Mini owner. I have quite narrow arches, as they said on the forum, that wider stance will cause more torque steer and worse handling. Also, the extra room won't help much regarding limited wheel turns. What's your comment on this? So you're absolutely right. The wider the wheels you have, the more torque steer will be inherent. Also, scrub radius will be more, which leads to torque steer. If you're trying to mitigate this and you still want to run wide wheels, the main thing is to make sure that your geometry is all correct, so that you're not having some crazy inherent problem in the suspension. You also want to make sure that your axles are as parallel to the ground and kind of as straight on the CV joints as possible. If they're really, like, you have your car really low and the CV joints are already at an angle, when you go to accelerate, you're gonna have kind of a whip effect. And particularly on the Honda, it's got one really long axle and one short one. The long one inherently, again, will have more flex to it, which will load up, and the other one will spin, and that again causes torque steer. So trying to deal with your alignment, making sure alignment's correct. Having a bad alignment on a car, especially a high-powered front-wheel drive car, will really affect torque steer. So make sure alignment's really good, make sure all your geometry is correct. And again, yeah, there's certain limitations to having really wide wheels. So with our particular build, the customer wanted super wide wheels. It was part of like kind of the build mandate, so we're gonna be working around that. But for the best driving car, yeah, you wanna run high, like positive offset wheels as inboard as possible, and make sure your geometry is correct. Hi there, I'm running 10-inch wheels on my Mini, and I'm looking to see what the best tires are available. What are your opinions on the different 10-inch tires available for Minis? So for us, we really like to use Yokohama tires. They have two different options for the Mini. There's the A008s, which are awesome for daily driving. They work really well in the rain, they wear really nicely, and they still have a lot of grip. And then there's the A032s. These are kind of the more track-oriented, really sticky tires. And for us, in our kind of performance builds, I think you know what kind of tire we would go for. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is another episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. Again, we'll be putting out a video every Tuesday, so make sure to like and subscribe below. Teddy! And if you have any questions, put them in the comments, send us an email, put them on our Instagram. We love to hear your questions, and hopefully we can answer them for you. See you next one.